Hello, welcome. In this lesson, we are going to look at RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation. This is a powerful technique that combines information retrieval with LLM generation. Instead of relying solely on LLM's training data, RAG retrieves relevant documents from your knowledge base and uses them to ground the LLM response, ensuring accuracy and relevance. RAG is the bridge between your data and the LLM. Let's say you already have your knowledge base, that is vector embedding of your knowledge base. RAG involves primarily 4 steps, that is encode your query into vector embedding and do a semantic search in your knowledge base and retrieve the relevant information and combine retrieved documents with the original query and then send that context to LLM to produce grounded answer. Now let's look at embedding. How to generate embedding in Spring AI. Let me navigate to Visual Studio Code. As we have defined this embedding model in our previous tutorial, we need this same in this tutorial as well. Make sure your Olama is running. Let me generate a controller. It's a REST controller. Let's inject embedding model. Inject through constructor. Now let's define a get mapping, which returns list of double, takes a request parameter of type string. Let's name it text. Let me import Java util. Let's define a float array because our embedding model returns float. So this method now returns the embedding of whatever text we send here. Let's stream a float array 0 to result dot len. We map it to double, then box it, then collectors to list and return. Now let me build. And run. Let me bring up the Postman and we'll hit embeddings API with text parameter hi. We got the response. If you see length of this JSON array, it is 1024. This represents 1024 dimension vector. As we are using this model, this is 1024 dimension vector embedding model. If you use some other model, you may see a different dimension. And if you type something else here, hello, how are you? And if you hit again, it will generate 1024 dimension embedding. Now let's have a demo of RAG. To get started with RAG, we should have our own knowledge base. So what I have done is I have created a RAG data seeder class which implements command line runner. So whenever I start up this application, this class will run and store these documents into the Redis vector store. So this Redis vector store is a bean which we have defined earlier. I will share these resources along with source code so you can also have a look at it and run these examples. And also I have made sure that I do not have anything in the Redis vector store. I will navigate back to the Visual Studio Code. Let's define a API for the RAG in the RAG controller. Let's define a get mapping RAG. For this, we need Redis vector store and also chat client. Let's inject these. Now let's complete the get mapping definition. Let's define the method which returns the string rag chat, which takes string parameter. Let's name it query. The first thing what we have to do is we have to retrieve the documents from the Redis vector store which semantically matches to this query. Let's get the document, list of document, similar documents, Redis vector store, similarity search, search request dot builder dot query, specify our query. Let's retrieve only top 3 dot build. Now we have all the documents from the Redis vector store which semantically matches to this query. Now let's create the context from the documents we retrieved. Let's stream through all the documents and map document get text, then collectors joining by new line character. Let's define the string system prompt and we say you are a helpful assistant. Use the following context to answer the user's question with context appended. Now let's invoke chat client. We provide the system prompt. We provide user query. We call the LLM, extract the content. And then let's return this response. So what we have done is we retrieved all the documents from the Redis vector store through semantic search. We only retrieved top 3 and we created a context from those retrieved documents and we set the system prompt using the context and then we send those system prompt and user query to LLM and get the response. Let me save it. Let me build the application. And run. Now let us navigate to Redis vector store and verify we have all our documents loaded here. You can see it here. Spring AI is a Spring framework. And let's look at the source code as well. Spring AI is a Spring framework. Now let me bring up the Postman to test. Let me hit the API. So we are getting the response from the RAG API. Now let's define one more get mapping to demo that response from RAG and without RAG will be different. Let me define the method which returns map of string compare, which takes a request parameter of type string. Let's name it query. First we will hit the LLM without RAG and we get the response for this query. Now let's call RAG API with same query and return the two responses, map of without RAG and with RAG. Let's build. And run. Now let me bring up the Postman to test. I have added this RAG compare API with query what's Spring AI. Let me hit the API and we got the response. So this response is from LLM without RAG and this is from the RAG, the knowledge base in the Redis store from the documents whatever we have inserted here. I feel this demo is enough for understanding the concept of RAG. We wrap this tutorial here. We'll see you in next tutorial.